Okay, so now you've got the knowledge of your basic checkmates and your 2 bishops and a king checkmate. If you haven't done those yet, or you're not quite sure, go back and check those videos out. I highly recommend it before trying to take on this one. The king, bishop, knight checkmate is one of the hardest checkmates to do. Very impressive if you can pull it off. In fact, there's been some grandmasters in the past who have not been able to pull this off in a tournament game. Does that make you better than the grandmaster? Yeah. But it's still difficult, still takes a lot of practice, and I'm going to go through a few of the ideas here before showing it to you so that you can get a better understanding of what you're looking at. First, we'll have a look at what needs to be done to achieve checkmate. The color bishop you have is the corner that you are going to want the enemy king to be in at the end of the game. That means the enemy king is naturally going to run to the opposite color corner. First task is to navigate the king to that corner. That's okay, we're going to send him to the opposite colored corner. We can handle that. We're going to use our king and our bishop to navigate him to the edge of the board, and also use your knight at times to make sure that he can't get away. This will take a little bit of coordination, and it is actually the hardest part about achieving this checkmate, is trying to get the king to the opposite corner. I'm going to leave links in the description below. You can practice the different phases of this endgame. Once we have the king in the wrong corner, now we need to set up the position so that we can complete what they call the W pattern. Now, to do the W pattern, you need to know where to place your knight and your king to start with. I'm going to post a diagram here showing where the knight starts and where it finishes. If the king is on the dark squared corner, so if they're on H8, the knight will need to start on F7. Now, the W pattern is called the W pattern because the knight's movement forms a W across the board. As you can see here on the chess.com, it doesn't quite look like a W, but if you do it on another website like Chess, it actually looks like a W pattern. Have a look at this diagram here, and you can see the starting point of each knight. Try to figure out the W pattern for each one on where they need to finish. It should look something like that. Did you get that? I know you did. Let's move on. Here's the W pattern in action. The W pattern does feel a little bit weird when the king gets a bit too far, because the king will start to branch out. But don't worry, that's when you use your bishop to come over. As you'll see in the video, the bishop will come over and cut off the squares so that the king cannot actually get out. The king is actually boxed in. Finally, very important, you need to understand waiting moves. A waiting move is where you don't need to put them in check, you don't need to push them forward, you just need to make a slight movement, which you'll notice in the video. The bishop does a lot of waiting moves where it will just move one square at a time just to line everything up. If you're ever stuck when doing the king, bishop, knight checkmate, just remember that you've always got the waiting move available to you. And in the video, I even show some mistakes just so that you can see that it can get fixed up. it's very important to remember the 50 move rule, because king, knight, bishop needs to be precise. Unlike your rook endings or your queen and king endings, you have a limited amount of time to complete this checkmate. This checkmate could take up to 30 moves, and if you stuff up during it, you have to start all over again and you may not complete the checkmate in time. So take your time with this one, be very precise. Good luck, and hopefully you get some games where you can pull this off and tell your opponent, I'm better than you and I know it.